Okay, stop. I'm serious. Wherever you are, just stop and look around. Right now. See that desk? That lamp? That pile of whatever it is in the corner? That's not just a background to your life. It's an interface. And every single object you see is a line of code your brain is being forced to process. So today, we are not talking about interior design. We're talking about neurological engineering. Let's dive in. Your brain is fighting a war, and it's not a metaphor. Every single second of every day, it's getting bombarded with millions of bits of information from your senses. It is a relentless, totally invisible assault on your focus, your energy, and your ability to think clearly. You feel it, right? It's that low-grade anxiety, that feeling of just not being able to focus. Well, that's not a character flaw. It's a design flaw in your environment. To keep you from having a complete system meltdown, your subconscious has this emergency protocol. It just deletes, twists, and simplifies over 90% of the reality around you. And this isn't some passive little filter. No. It's an active, energy-burning battle, just to give you the illusion that everything's stable. And the cost of that battle? Well, it's your peak performance. But what if you could just stop fighting? What if, instead of your brain desperately trying to delete reality, you could carefully, intentionally curate it? What if you could actually take manual control of that 10% and build an environment that doesn't drain your brain but actually fuels it? This isn't about being a minimalist. This is about gaining a tactical advantage. So let's talk about Leo. Leo is a classic high performer. He's sharp, he's ambitious, and his office is what you'd call modern. Bright white walls, a sleek desk, tons of light. But by 11 a.m., he's totally gassed. He's just staring at his computer screen, and the words aren't even words anymore. They're just shapes. He's surrounded by all the tools of productivity, sticky notes, pens, reports, but his brain feels like it's wading through thick mud. He doesn't know it, but he's losing the invisible war. Now, the science behind why Leo feels so drained is absolutely fascinating. There was this landmark study from Princeton back in 2011, and it confirmed that every single object in your line of sight is competing for your brain's very limited resources. So Leo thinks he's focused on his work, but his brain is also busy processing the pen, the stapler, the reflection on the window, even the harsh, boring texture of the white wall. This constant battle for attention creates what scientists call neural static. It's like a background hiss of cognitive noise that makes deep creative focus physically impossible. It's basically the neurological version of trying to listen to a symphony with a jackhammer going off right next to you. And what does Leo do? The same thing we all do, right? Just push through it, grab another coffee, focus harder. But he can't. And it's not because he's lazy, it's because he is neurologically overtaxed. Every single object in his so-called minimalist office is charging him a hidden price, a visual tax that drains his mental bank account before he even starts the real work. He's hit his cognitive ceiling, and no amount of sheer willpower is going to break through it. And this brings us to this absolutely crucial concept, cognitive load. The easiest way to think about it is like your brain's RAM, its working memory, and it is a finite resource. So every little thing you see, from a paperclip to a messy cable, eats up a little piece of that RAM. Your brain is constantly, subconsciously having to ask, is this a threat? Is this a tool I need? Is this an unfinished job? And all that processing, it's a silent killer of the exact resources you need for big picture thinking, for creativity, for solving tough problems. It's why you can feel completely exhausted at the end of the day, even if you feel like you got absolutely nothing done. And the numbers, they're just staggering. When your brain is constantly fighting that neural static and paying this heavy visual tax, research suggests your effective brain power can plummet to as low as 40%. I want you to really let that sink in. More than half of your intellectual horsepower, your creative genius, your problem-solving ability is being burned just to ignore the stuff around you. You're trying to win a race with the emergency brake yanked all the way up. That 60% you're losing, that's where your best ideas are living. And you're sacrificing them for a disorganized desk. All right, let's do a quick brain audit right now. Look at your own workspace. See that stray coffee cup over there? It's not just a cup, it's a tiny, nagging, physical bookmark of an unfinished task, an open loop your brain desperately wants to close. Those messy wires dangling behind your monitor, they are a physical symbol of disorganization that your brain subconsciously internalizes, and it just creates a feeling of chaos. And that pile of mail? It's not just paper, it's a stack of unmade decisions, and every single one is demanding a tiny slice of your attention. Every object is a micro-distraction, a little tax that, when you add them all up, completely bankrupts your focus. Okay, now let's go back to Leo. He leaves his bright, sterile office and walks into this high-end library.
And the entire sensory experience just shifts instantly. The light isn't a harsh glare anymore. It's a warm amber glow. The air feels still. And the space isn't defined by cheap plastic and drywall. It's dark wood, cool stone, rich leather. He sits down at this heavy oak table, runs his hand over the solid wood, and for the first time all day, his mind is completely quiet. The war is over. He just stepped into a sanctuary.
And this just shows the huge difference between a neurologically hostile environment and a rich one. A flat, white wall is basically information poor. It's synthetic, it's high glare, and it actually forces your eyes to strain to find something to focus on. But natural wood grain? Oh, that's rich with something called fractal patterns. These are the complex repeating patterns you see everywhere in nature, from a fern to a snowflake. Your brain literally evolved over millions of years to process these patterns with almost zero effort. It recognizes them as biologically familiar and safe. It's the difference between listening to static and listening to a perfectly composed piece of music.
The scientific name for this feeling of cognitive ease is processing fluency. When information can just flow into your brain with almost no resistance, your prefrontal cortex, which is kind of like the CEO of your brain, is freed up from the boring, low-level job of just trying to make sense of the world, and that creates a cognitive surplus. This isn't about status or having expensive things just for the sake of it. It's about creating an environment with high processing fluency, which directly translates to higher brain function, more creativity, and way, way less stress. And this shift is real. It's physiological. When Leo touched that wood grain, it wasn't just a feeling. The principles of what's called biophilic design show that just interacting with natural textures can trigger a measurable drop in cortisol, your body's main stress hormone. His heart rate actually slows down. His blood pressure lowers. His brain, no longer fighting to process a synthetic world, stops screaming that there might be a threat. This deep state of cognitive ease can even release endorphins, creating this powerful feeling of well-being and control, a kind of luxury hormone response that hardwires his brain to connect this sanctuary with safety and peak performance. So what happened to Leo? It wasn't an accident. It was pure science. And the best part is you can engineer this for yourself. And listen, this isn't about buying expensive stuff. It's about making deliberate, neurologically informed choices. So we're shifting now from the why to the how. This is your blueprint for your own aesthetic reset. Okay, here it is, your 3-step surgery for peak performance. First step, the luminance shift. Get rid of that harsh, blue-tinted 5,000 Kelvin hospital white light. That kind of light mimics the midday sun, which tells your brain it's time for high-alert fight-or-flight mode, and that's exhausting. Swap it for a warm, 2,700 Kelvin amber glow light. This mimics sunrise, sunset, or firelight, which are ancient signals for calm, focused, creative states. Second, the material pivot. I want you to remove one piece of cheap, information-poor plastic from your desk and replace it with something natural, a cool stone coaster, a leather mouse pad, a wooden pen holder. The feeling of these rich textures actually grounds your nervous system. And third, the fractal injection. Go get a plant. Seriously, the complex patterns in its leaves are a processing fluency superpower. It's a natural focal point that can lower your stress in seconds. And now for the final act. The transformed Leo, he goes back to a meeting. His office is now his sanctuary, right? A place of low cognitive load and high processing fluency. He spent his morning in this state of calm focus. And when he walks into that conference room, something's different. He's calmer. His posture's more relaxed, but somehow more solid. He actually says less, but when he speaks, everyone listens. He hasn't changed who he is. He's changed the state from which he operates. This is based on a really powerful psychological principle called external regulation. You see, our nervous systems are kind of like tuning forks. They're constantly communicating with each other, way below our conscious awareness. So when you walk into a room with a calm, regulated nervous system, a state you built in your own engineered sanctuary, you subconsciously signal safety and authority to everyone else's nervous systems. You become the most stable, coherent signal in the room. You literally calm the room down without saying a single word. And that right there brings us to the ultimate power move. Real authority isn't about being the loudest person in the room or talking the most. That's just low-status noise. True authority is about being the most regulated. Your aesthetic reset gives you access to this state whenever you want it. By mastering your environment, you master your internal state. And that internal mastery projects this unmistakable aura of focus and power. This is what we call high-status silence, an authority that is felt long before it is ever heard. So let's tie this all together. For way too long, we've been treating our minds like they're just software. We try to cram in more productivity hacks, more mental models, always hoping for an upgrade. But here's the thing, we've been running this powerful, cutting edge software on old, cluttered, and totally inefficient hardware. Your physical space is the hardware. If you really want to upgrade your performance, you have to upgrade the machine itself first. The main takeaway here is a fundamental shift in how you see the world around you. Stop decorating your space. Start engineering it. Every single object either serves your focus or it steals it. Every texture either calms your nervous system or it agitates it. Your environment isn't passive. It is a high-performance tool just waiting for you to pick it up and use it correctly. That potential you have for peak performance, for deeper creativity, for that effortless authority, it's not locked away in some new productivity app. It's right there, right in front of you, waiting to be unlocked in the space you live in every single day. So I'm going to leave you with this question. You religiously upgrade the operating system on your phone and your computer, always looking for a smoother, faster interface. When are you finally going to perform that same critical upgrade on the most important piece of hardware you will ever own, the physical space that runs your mind?